So, if you want to make a massive digital comeback in 2026, the ultimate strategy is it's actually not higher production value.
Right. Not at all.
Yeah, it's about aggressively deleting your edits, right? Stripping your own name from your metadata and just completely embracing the terrifying, unvarnished reality of live streaming.
It really is terrifying for a lot of people.
Totally. Welcome to the deep dive, by the way. Today we're unpacking this really specific modern digital dilemma. Like, how do you take a channel that has been completely dead for years and just, wake it up?
And we're not just talking about theory here.
No, exactly. We actually have our hands on this really rare stack of notes, logs, and behind-the-scenes planning documents from a creator named Twana Yvette. And she is actively organizing this massive relaunch.
But she's skipping the polished video essays entirely.
Completely. She's pivoting to an exclusive 100% live broadcast format. So our mission today, we are going to tear apart her physical hardware setup, the whole software signal chain, and these ruthless metadata strategies required to manipulate modern algorithms.
It's a very intense blueprint.
It is. So whether you're, running a corporate webinar, launching your own channel, or just trying to understand the invisible plumbing of the internet, this is your technical blueprint for how professional streaming gear actually works.
Yeah, and the context of her specific situation really, it sets the stakes here.
Right.
Looking at her historical metrics from the sources, she experienced this massive viral spike years ago, which she actually calls the Tim Norman years.
The Tim Norman years, yeah.
Right, and that cultural moment pushed her channel past the 10,000 subscriber mark, and getting to 10,000 is notoriously difficult.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge milestone.
It is. It's the threshold where you actually start to matter to the platform. But then the channel just went completely dormant. Zero activity.
Just totally dark.
Exactly. And from the perspective of an algorithmic recommendation engine, right, a dormant channel with 10,000 idle subscribers isn't just neutral, it's actively toxic.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there. Because I always assumed a subscriber was just, a permanent asset.
A lot of people think that.
Right, like you earn them, they sit in your account, and whenever you decide to come back, they're just waiting for you. Why would the system view those people as a liability?
Well, because recommendation engines operate on predictive behavioral models, not historical loyalty.
Okay, predictive models.
Yeah. When the system looks at a dormant channel, it basically sees 10,000 users who are subscribed but haven't, clicked, watched, or engaged with that creator in literally years.
Right, they've been totally inactive.
And the algorithm's primary metrics are CTR, click-through rate, and session watch time.
Which are huge.
Massive.
Yeah.
So if it decides to test the waters and show a new, highly edited upload to just a fraction of those dormant subscribers.
And they ignore it.
Exactly. They ignore it because they've honestly forgotten who the creator even is. So the CTR just plummets.
Wow. Okay, so it punishes you for your own inactive audience.
It does. The system immediately flags the content as low quality or just irrelevant, and the video is suppressed before it even reaches a wider audience. So she realizes that quietly uploading a standard pre-recorded video is basically a death sentence.
Because she needs to bypass that initial CTR penalty.
Precisely.
So by going exclusively live, she's basically trying to force a totally different kind of algorithmic evaluation.
Right. It's a completely different rule book.
It reminds me of, a legacy rock band that had a huge hit 10 years ago.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. Like if they disappear and then quietly release this heavily auto-tuned, overproduced studio album, nobody cares.
It just gets lost in the noise.
Exactly. But if they just show up unannounced in some city square, plug into a cheap amp, and start playing a raw, unscripted live set, it creates this immediate, localized chaos.
It demands attention simply because it's happening right now.
Exactly. But, to pull off that live performance, you can't just yell into the void. You need the right instruments.
You definitely do.
And looking at her actual inventory list from the source documents, I was completely thrown off by how minimal it is.
Oh, it is the absolute antithesis of these sprawling million-dollar setups we've been conditioned to expect.
Totally.
The industry standard for a quote-unquote professional stream usually involves, server racks, dedicated mixing consoles, and multiple operators.
Yeah, like a full control room.
Right. But she is running her entire broadcast on basically 4 pieces of consumer-accessible gear.
Which is wild. Walk me through the list.
Okay, so first, a 12-inch selfie ring light. on a standard tripod.
Okay, super basic.
Second, a 4K digital camera, but specifically one with a 180-degree flip screen.
Right.
Third, a set of 2 wireless lavalier microphones.
Mm-hmm.
And tying it all together, a CureTim 15.6-inch laptop.
Which your specs notably point out is rose-colored.
Yes, rose-colored. But importantly, running on 32 gigabytes of RAM.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit because you see the mega streamers today, right?
Sure.
They have soundproofed bunkers, these cinematic cameras on robotic arms, lighting grids that look like a Hollywood soundstage.
Yeah, the multi-million-dollar rooms.
Right. Are you really telling me that a laptop, a ring light, a single camera, and clip-on mics can generate a broadcast that actually competes in 2026? I mean, it sounds like a setup for a high school project, not a professional media company.
I get why you'd think that, but that assumption fundamentally misunderstands how broadcast technology has evolved.
Okay, how so?
Well, professionalism is no longer defined by the square footage of your studio or just the sheer volume of equipment you own.
It's not about the flex anymore?
No, not at all. It's defined by the efficiency and purity of your signal chain.
The signal chain. Let's break that down for people who might not be audio-video engineers.
Absolutely. A signal chain is simply the path that data takes from the physical world, meaning light and sound, until it is encoded and delivered to a viewer's screen on YouTube Live.
From the lens to the internet.
Exactly. And if we trace her specific signal chain, starting at the point of capture, the genius of this minimalist setup becomes really obvious.
Okay, so she starts with the camera.
Right. She's using a 4K digital camera. That sensor is capturing over 8 million individual pixels every single frame, 30 to 60 times a second.
Which is a ton of information.
The data density is massive. It matches standard television broadcast quality right out of the gate.
But the spec she specifically highlights in her notes isn't the 4K resolution, right? It's the 180-degree flip screen.
Yes, that is crucial.
And I read that and thought, why is a consumer-grade vlog screen the absolute deal breaker for a live broadcast?
Right, it seems like a beginner feature.
Yeah. If you want to monitor your stream, wouldn't you just plug a big, nice external monitor into the HDMI port?
Well, introducing an external monitor introduces unnecessary latency and, quite frankly, points of failure.
Points of failure, like the cable just dying.
Exactly. Every time you push a video signal out of a camera's HDMI port, through a cable and into an external display, you introduce micro delays.
Oh, I hadn't thought about the delay.
Yeah. And furthermore, when you are a solo operator, you are acting as the talent, the technical director, and the camera operator all at once.
You're wearing all the hats.
Right. So if you're looking at an external monitor positioned off to the side, your eye line breaks away from the lens.
Ah, and the viewer instantly feels that.
Exactly. The viewer immediately senses that disconnection. A 180-degree articulating flip screen, though, sits perfectly adjacent to the lens.
So you're basically looking at both at the same time.
Yes. It creates a closed, instantaneous feedback loop where she can monitor her framing, check her focus peaking, and ensure the stream hasn't frozen, all without breaking eye contact with the audience.
It's an infrastructural choice that guarantees total visual autonomy.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so it keeps her anchored to the lens. I get that. But then we have the 12-inch ring light. And again, it feels so basic to me.
It does, but there's a science to it.
Well, why not use large, diffuse softboxes? Why rely on just a single ring of LEDs?
This really comes down to the physics of light and the psychology of the viewer.
Psychology.
Yeah. Think about large softboxes. They require heavy stands, sandbags, and a massive physical footprint in your room.
They do take up half the office.
And they restrict your movement. But a 12-inch ring light is specifically engineered to shoot through the center of the illumination source.
Because the camera lens goes right in the middle of the ring.
Exactly. This produces a nearly shadowless, highly flattering light across the face, which is absolutely crucial when you don't have a dedicated lighting tech to adjust for shadows every time you move an inch.
Right, because if you lean forward with a softbox, suddenly half your face is in the dark.
Precisely. But more importantly, and here's the psychology part, it creates a very distinct circular catch light in the pupil of the eye.
Oh, that little white ring in their eye.
Yes. In the visual language of the internet, that catch light has become a psychological trigger for intimacy and direct address.
Wow, so the viewer feels like the creator is looking right into their soul, basically.
Exactly. It mimics a very close personal interaction.
Which explains her audio strategy perfectly, actually, because she completely ignores the massive condenser microphones that literally everyone seems to use.
Oh, the giant podcasting mics.
You know the ones, the giant metal cylinders on heavy boom arms that basically force the creator to sit perfectly motionless in an ergonomic chair just to stay on mic.
Yeah, if you turn your head, you're off axis and the sound dies.
Right. But instead, she's running a 2-pack of wireless lavalier microphones just clipped to her shirt.
The condenser microphone is actually a trap for many live streamers.
No, really? A trap?
Yeah. Condensers are highly sensitive. I mean, they pick up everything in the room. The hum of the refrigerator down the hall, the clicking of your mechanical keyboard, the echo bouncing off your bare walls.
Oh, right. They're designed for treated sound studios, not bedrooms.
Exactly. A lavalier microphone, however, is an omnidirectional capsule clipped literally inches from your mouth.
So it only hears you.
Well, it utilizes the inverse square law of acoustics.
Okay, lay that on me.
Because of the extreme proximity of the lavalier to the sound source, your mouth, the vocal signal is astronomically louder than the ambient room noise.
So the room noise just sort of falls away.
Right. It isolates the vocal perfectly without needing sound panels on every wall.
So when she moves around for her IRL or in real life streams, right?
Her lifestyle content.
Like if she walks away from the laptop to cook in the kitchen or turns her back to grab a product, her voice doesn't suddenly hollow out.
The audio perspective stays perfectly locked to her, even while the visual perspective shifts around the room.
That actually makes a massive amount of sense for a dynamic broadcast. You're not chained to a desk.
Exactly. It's about freedom of movement.
But let's follow this data. Okay, we have pristine 4K video and isolated wireless audio being captured right now. Light and sound are now digital information. Where does it go next in the chain?
This is the critical choke point of any broadcast, the ingestion and encoding phase.
The choke point.
Yeah. All of this raw data feeds via USB or a capture card directly into that Curitim laptop we mentioned. And this brings us to the most vital hardware specification in her entire document.
The 32 gigabytes of RAM?
Yes. 32 gigs of RAM.
And I want to stop here because, people throw around computer specs all the time. But I really want to understand the actual mechanics of why 32 gigs is the magic number.
It's a great question.
Like, if I'm just streaming video, why do I need a machine with that much memory?
To understand why, you have to look at what the computer's actually doing during a live stream.
Yeah.
It isn't just passing video through like a water pipe.
Right.
When that raw 4K video data hits the laptop, it is uncompressed. It is a massive fire hose of information.
Just gigabytes of raw pixel data.
Exactly. The CPU and GPU have to take that raw visual data, synchronize it perfectly down to the millisecond with the incoming wireless audio data to prevent lip sync drift.
Oh, where the mouth moves, but the sound comes a second later. I hate that.
Right, ruins the illusion. So it syncs it, and then it passes it to an encoder. The encoder, usually something like NVENC or Bial264, compresses that massive file into a highly efficient digital package using complex mathematical algorithms.
Frame by frame.
Yes, frame by frame, 30 or 60 times a second in real time.
And if the computer falls behind on that math...
You drop frames, the video stutters, it tears, or the stream just freezes completely.
Which ruins retention.
Instantly. But here is the catch. The computer isn't only encoding video.
Right, it's doing a bunch of other stuff.
Exactly. It is also simultaneously running the Windows operating system, the broadcasting software itself, a web browser to monitor the live chat, and whatever audio routing programs you have open.
That is a lot of multitasking.
And RAM random access memory is the local workspace where the computer holds all the data it needs to access instantaneously for all those programs.
So it's like your desk space.
Perfect analogy. If you try to run a professional 4K stream on 8 or 16 gigs of RAM, that desk workspace fills up immediately.
There's nowhere to put the papers.
Right. So the computer is forced to swap that temporary data over to the physical hard drive, which is exponentially slower to access.
And that bottleneck is what crashes streams.
Exactly. 32 gigabytes of RAM provides a massive, uninterrupted workspace. It ensures that the CPU and GPU are never starved for data.
So that lean, rose-colored laptop is actually a total powerhouse.
It's doing the work of a traditional broadcast control room.
It's ingesting, syncing, compressing, and distributing heavy data all simultaneously without breaking a sweat.
Proving that the barrier to entry isn't $1 million.
No, it's just a fundamental understanding of how to clear the path for your data.
Exactly.
But, a powerful laptop is essentially a very expensive paperweight. if you don't have the software to route the signal.
Software is where most creators completely fail.
And looking at her planning documents, her software configuration is where things get truly chaotic in her notes.
It really is the single most dangerous phase of building a broadcast architecture.
Because hardware fails predictably, right? Like a cable snaps or a battery just dies.
Right, you can see it break.
Mm-hmm.
But software fails invisibly. And her interaction with her AI planning assistant highlights a massive configuration error that plagues the creator economy right now.
Oh man, the transcript of her arguing with the Gemini AI is incredible.
It's very revealing.
It is. The AI analyzes her goal of launching a live streaming channel and tries to be quote-unquote helpful by hallucinating this incredibly dense enterprise-level software stack.
It just throws everything at her.
Yeah, it tells her she needs to be running OneStream Live, Streamer.bot, My Radio Stream, some program called Sociable, and it wants her to integrate all of it with an OC Go Stream Deck.
It just bombards her with complex cloud applications.
And we need to look at why the AI recommended that. Because artificial intelligence trains on vast data sets of industry best practices and common usage, right?
Exactly. The industry standard right now aggressively pushes creators toward multi-streaming clouds.
Like OneStream.
Yes. Services that take your single video feed and distribute it to YouTube, Twitch, X, and Facebook simultaneously.
Cast a wide net.
That's the logic. The industry also heavily promotes cloud-based automation, like Streamer.bot, to handle chat moderation and pop-up visual alerts.
Because the prevailing logic is that maximum distribution plus maximum automation equals maximum professionalism.
That is what the internet teaches new creators.
But she rejects all of it.
Violently.
Yeah, she pushes back hard on the AI, explicitly stating she has never used those platforms and absolutely refuses to adopt them. And honestly, I have to question her logic here a bit.
Why is that?
Well, if you are a solo creator, wouldn't you want automated cloud bots handling your chat? Wouldn't you want a server distributing your stream to 5 platforms at once so you don't have to worry about it?
It seems like it would save time, right?
Yeah. Why is she aggressively turning down tools designed to make her life easier? Isn't she just making her setup more fragile by relying entirely on her local machine?
On the surface, it definitely seems counterintuitive. But her rejection of cloud-based bloatware reveals a really profound understanding of network latency and point-of-failure routing.
Point-of-failure routing. Okay, walk me through that.
Let's examine a standard cloud-based alert system. Say a viewer sends a tip or subscribes, and you want a funny sound effect to play on stream to acknowledge it.
Standard streamer stuff.
Right. If you use a cloud service, the viewer's action on YouTube pings a server in, say, Virginia.
Okay.
That server processes the action, sends an API webhook back over the internet to your broadcasting software, which then triggers a browser source to play an audio file.
That's a lot of bouncing around.
That end trip takes time. It introduces latency.
Ah, so a viewer makes a joke in the chat, they hit a button to trigger a laugh track, and it doesn't play for like 3 seconds.
Exactly. And in live comedy or real-time interaction, a 3-second delay is an eternity.
Oh, it completely kills the pacing. It makes it super awkward.
It really does. But more critically, every single API connection to a third-party cloud server is a massive vulnerability.
Because you don't control the server in Virginia.
Right. If that cloud service decides to run an unannounced maintenance update, or if their security certificate expires, or if your local internet stutters for just half a second and drops the webhook connection,
your entire interactive overlay breaks.
Completely shatters. You are at the mercy of 5 different companies' server uptimes just to run your stream.
That sounds incredibly stressful for a solo operator.
It is. So by rejecting the AI's complex stack, she is basically building a localized fortress.
Okay, so what is the actual software brain she uses to control this fortress?
She uses OBS Studio, Open Broadcaster Software.
The classic.
The gold standard. It is an open source application that runs natively on her machine. It does not require a cloud connection to composite her scenes.
So it just handles it all internally.
Yes. It takes her 4K camera, her wireless audio, and her graphics, misses them utilizing that 32 GB of RAM we talked about, and generates a single clean RTMP data stream that goes directly to YouTube's ingestion servers.
So there are literally no middlemen.
0 middlemen.
And when I looked at how she handles her sound effects and interactive elements, I was honestly baffled at first.
That's an unusual choice.
It is, because the AI assumes she'll use sophisticated audio routing, like MooseHub or Tikfinity, right?
Right.
And she corrects it and says she strictly uses virtual DJ and WP developer tools downloaded directly from the Microsoft Store.
Which sounds crazy.
Right. I mean, the Microsoft Store, that sounds incredibly rudimentary for a professional broadcast.
It sounds rudimentary until you really understand the mechanics of local execution.
Okay, explain local execution.
Well, WP Developer Tools provides standalone offline applications for specific soundscapes like ambient nature sounds or ASMR audio files.
But so they aren't websites.
No, by downloading these as native Windows applications, all the audio files live directly on our laptop's solid-state drive.
They're physically on the machine.
Exactly. So when she presses a button in Virtual DJ to trigger a sound effect, there is absolute zero network latency.
Because it doesn't have to go to Virginia.
Right. The CPU calls the file from the local drive and injects it straight into the OBS audio mixer in milliseconds.
Because it doesn't have to ask permission from a server to play the sound of clapping hands.
Exactly. She is trading the flashy, theoretical convenience of the cloud for the raw, unbreakable reliability of local execution.
That is so smart.
It is. And she pairs this with a very utilitarian toolkit. She uses Canva for localized graphic generation, OpenShot for basic offline editing, and Audacity for localized audio tweaking.
Just the bare essentials.
It's a strictly controlled environment. If her internet connection can reach YouTube, her stream will function perfectly, regardless of what the rest of the tech industry is doing that day.
Okay, so she has mastered the physical hardware. The 4K capture and wireless audio are cleanly ingested into the high-RAM laptop.
Yep.
She has avoided the massive configuration traps of cloud bloatware, relying on the rock-solid local routing of OBS Studio. The signal chain is pristine.
Beautifully clean.
She hits go live. The stream is broadcasting to the internet, but here's the brutal reality of the creator economy.
The hardest part.
Yeah. You can transmit the most perfectly encoded 4K low-latency video in the history of the world, and if nobody knows you were doing it, you were just talking to an empty room.
Exactly.
So how do you get a human being to actually show up to a dead channel?
Well, the secret is you don't try to find human beings.
Wait, what?
You have to speak to the machine that controls what human beings see. You have to manipulate the algorithmic metadata.
Right, the algorithm.
Because the algorithm is the ultimate gatekeeper of the internet, and in 2026, it honestly does not care about your legacy.
This brings us to a decision in her strategy that I think would give most creators an absolute panic attack.
It takes a lot of guts.
It does. When she's defining her video tags and her back-end metadata to attract live viewers, she makes the conscious, aggressive choice to completely strip her own name, Twana Yvette, from the search terms.
She actively erases her personal brand from the back end.
And I really have to challenge this. I mean, the entire point of being a creator is building a recognizable brand, isn't it?
That's the conventional wisdom.
Right. If you remove your name from the search index, aren't you basically committing digital suicide? How does anyone ever become a fan of you?
Because she understands the fundamental difference between vanity and high-intent discovery.
High-intent discovery.
Yeah. She tells the AI directly in the logs, nobody is searching for my name.
Ouch. But true.
In a profound moment of algorithmic realism. But look at the psychology of a typical user on a Tuesday night.
Okay.
When you open the YouTube app on your phone and you are just bored, what do you actually type into the search bar? Unless you are already a diehard fan of a specific celebrity, you do not search for a proper noun.
That's true. I don't type in a specific person's name unless I know them.
Exactly. You search for a state of being. You search for an experience.
Right. I search for, like, chill gaming stream or background study music or maybe live debate. I'm searching for a utility to fill my time, not a specific person.
Exactly. And YouTube gives creators a strict 500-character limit for back-end tags.
Which goes fast.
Very fast.
Well.
So if a creator's ego dictates that they fill 200 of those characters with variations of their own name and, like, common misspellings of their name,
they have wasted almost half of their metadata real estate.
yes.
Yeah.
Indexing themselves for a search query that will literally never happen.
Wow.
The algorithm maps semantic relationships. By removing her name entirely, she frees up maximum space for high-intent queries.
Looking at her actual tag list, it reads basically like a menu of user desires.
Read some of them off.
She uses terms like live stream, IRL, live podcast, unedited gaming, real-time content, live interaction, community live stream.
Notice anything about those?
Yeah, she isn't describing who she is at all. She's describing the mechanical format of the video.
She is essentially performing reverse search engineering.
Okay, break that down.
The algorithm is a matchmaking service. It wants to pair a user's active intent with the most relevant live video to maximize session watch time.
Keep them on the app as long as possible.
Exactly. So when a user types unedited gaming, the algorithm scans the metadata of millions of concurrent broadcasts.
All at the same time.
Right. And because her channel is rigorously tagged with those exact semantic phrases, she bypasses the algorithmic penalty of being a dead channel.
Oh.
Yeah, the algorithm doesn't say, oh, this is Trana, she's been gone for years, don't show this. It says, this data packet perfectly matches the user's request for unedited gaming. Route the user here immediately.
Okay, so the metadata forces the algorithm to serve her live stream as a thumbnail on the user's screen.
It gets you to the door.
Right, but the algorithm can't force the user to tap the glass. A human being still has to physically decide to click on it.
Yes, the final hurdle.
And this is where her strategy around the description box becomes hyper-technical. The documents detail a rigid adherence to what she calls the 150-character hook rule.
This is such a crucial detail.
Break this down for me. Why exactly 150 characters? Why not write a beautiful 3-paragraph summary of what the stream is about to draw them in?
Because of the biological constraints of human eye tracking, and honestly, the UI/UX design of mobile applications.
Meaning how the app actually looks on a phone screen.
Exactly. When a video appears in a YouTube search result or in the recommended feed on a smartphone, the platform does not display the entire description.
Right, it cuts it off.
It truncates the text. Depending on the exact device resolution and font scaling, YouTube cuts off the description with a Show More button right around the 130 to 150 character mark.
And let's be honest, nobody clicks Show More while they are casually scrolling through a feed.
Never.
The scroll is relentless. You have a fraction of a second to prove your value before the thumb just swipes up.
Precisely. If your first 150 characters are, welcome back to my channel, it's been a long time, today I'm going to.
The text is truncated before you ever actually explain the value proposition.
Exactly. And the viewer scrolls right past you.
So the 150-character hook is basically the digital equivalent of a billboard on a highway.
That's a perfect analogy. You have to synthesize the exact emotional or entertainment value of the live stream into roughly 2 sentences that appear above the truncation line.
It must compel the click instantly.
Yes, no fluff allowed.
And if they do click, right, and they decide to open the description to see more, she has engineered that space to fight something called link fatigue.
Which is rampant right now.
Oh, if you've spent any time on YouTube, you know exactly what this is. You open a description box and you are just hit with a monolithic wall of blue hyperlinks.
It's overwhelming.
It is. It's like, follow my Twitter, my Instagram threads, my TikTok, buy this energy drink, use this promo code, support my Patreon, join my Discord. It is visually exhausting.
It really is.
It feels desperate, like they're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
In user experience design, that is known as cognitive overload.
Cognitive overload.
Yeah. When presented with too many options, the human brain often chooses to take no action at all to avoid making a choice.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. So her template actively restricts choices to drive specific conversions.
How so?
Immediately below the 150-character hook, but still above the fold, meaning it is visible without requiring extensive scrolling, she places a highly consolidated link structure.
Keep it simple.
Right. She uses a single link tree to house all social media, removing the visual clutter. She links directly to her PayHip digital store. And most importantly, she creates a dedicated, prominent slot labeled freebies and community perks.
I need to pause on this entire metadata philosophy for a second.
Sure.
Because we are talking about stripping your name from tags, engineering 150-character truncation hooks, and consolidating links to manipulate cognitive load.
It's a machine-like approach.
It is incredibly clinical. It feels like she is programming a machine, not creating art. But earlier, we talked about how her content is supposed to be raw, unscripted, and authentic.
Yes, that's the goal.
If you format your digital presence this rigidly, almost like a corporate software manual, doesn't that inherently destroy the authentic, chaotic vibe she's actually trying to achieve on camera?
It's a fantastic observation, and it really cuts to the core paradox of the modern creator economy.
The paradox.
The paradox is this. Highly rigid, almost ruthlessly calculated infrastructure on the back end is exactly what permits true spontaneity to exist on the front end.
That sounds like a complete contradiction. How does rigid structure create freedom?
Well, think about what happens when a creator doesn't build this infrastructure.
Okay.
They go live without optimizing their tags, without a strong hook. The algorithm doesn't know who to send, so nobody shows up.
Just crickets.
The creator's sitting in their bedroom staring at a view counter that just says 0 for an hour. Panic sets in. They realize they are broadcasting to no one.
I've seen streams like that. It's tough to watch.
So what do? They start acting unnatural. They start raising their voice, exaggerating their reactions, desperately trying to perform in the hopes of artificially manufacturing a viral moment out of thin air.
Because they're terrified.
The desperation bleeds right through the lens. The authenticity is totally destroyed because they're visibly begging for attention.
Wow. They start playing to an empty room, and the performance becomes entirely hollow.
Exactly. But if you've done the cold, analytical work on the back end, if you have spoken the machine's language perfectly with high-intent metadata, you know with absolute certainty that the algorithm is acting as a funnel.
It's doing the work for you.
Right. It is continuously dropping the right viewers into your stream. So when you press go live, the anxiety is gone.
Because you trust the system you built.
Yes. You don't have to perform. You can relax into the microphone. You can be unscripted, quiet, and authentic, fully trusting that the invisible machinery is handling the audience acquisition.
That makes total sense.
The strict engineering on the back end buys you absolute creative freedom on the front end.
So the rigid metadata is basically the concrete foundation that allows the wild house party to happen without the walls collapsing.
That's exactly it.
Which is a perfect pivot, actually, because we need to talk about what happens when the viewers actually arrive at the party.
Yes, retention.
Right. The tags worked. The 150-character hook got the click. The viewer is inside the stream. But how do you stop them from getting bored in 10 seconds and swiping away? We are moving from algorithmic acquisition into the psychology of real-time audience retention.
And this is the operational space where live streaming completely diverges from traditional pre-recorded media.
How so?
Well, when you upload a polished 15-minute video to YouTube, you control the timeline. Every single viewer who clicks on that thumbnail starts at exactly 0 minutes and 0 seconds.
Right.
They experience your carefully crafted narrative linearly. They see the hook, the rising action, the climax, and the outro in the exact sequence you edited.
It's like everyone enters the movie theater before the previews start. The audience is totally synchronized.
Live streaming does not afford you that luxury.
No, it doesn't.
Live streaming is fundamentally chaotic in its temporal nature. Viewers do not arrive at the beginning. They arrive completely at random.
So true.
One viewer drops into the stream at minute 5. Another clicks the thumbnail at minute 22. A massive influx of traffic might hit at an hour and 40 minutes because of the algorithm.
Just totally sporadic.
These people are being dropped squarely into the middle of an ongoing, unscripted conversation with zero context.
Which is super disorienting.
If you treat a live stream like a linear video and never look back, these new arrivals will suffer from immediate disorientation. They won't know what is happening, they will feel alienated, and their immediate response will be to leave.
Which tanks your algorithmic retention metric.
Exactly, which stops the algorithm from sending more people.
A vicious cycle. And the creator recognizes this fatal flaw. To combat the constant churn of new viewers, she utilizes a rigid framework, the 15 to 20-minute reintroduction cycle.
This is a brilliant retention mechanism borrowed directly from 24-hour news broadcasting.
Like CNN or Fox News.
Exactly. News anchors operate on a clock because they know audiences tune in and out continuously throughout the hour.
They're always saying, if you're just joining us.
Exactly. Twana applies this directly to live streaming. Every 15 to 20 minutes, regardless of the on-screen action, she breaks the flow.
Just completely stops what she's doing.
Yeah. If she is in the middle of a gaming session or deep into a cooking tutorial, she pauses, resets the room, and explicitly re-anchors the audience.
She actually talks to the new arrivals.
Yes. She'll say something like, if you are just joining us, welcome in. I'm Twana. Right now, we are in the middle of debating X, Y, and Z, and we are trying to figure out how to solve this level. We're really glad you're here.
It is the exact same dynamic as hosting a party in the real world.
How do you mean?
Well, you don't script what your guests say at a party, right? The conversations are totally organic. But as the host, you have a structural obligation to the environment.
You're guiding the experience.
Yeah. When a new guest walks through the front door, you don't just ignore them and let them wander into the kitchen trying to decipher inside jokes with strangers.
No, that would be incredibly awkward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You stop your conversation, you walk to the door, you welcome them, and you give them context. You say, hey, over by the couch, we're talking about movies. In the back room, people are playing cards. Grab a drink. You integrate them instantly.
The integration is absolutely crucial to keeping them there.
Yeah.
But she actually takes it a step further by utilizing the UI of the streaming platform itself to provide continuous wayfinding.
Wayfinding. Okay.
She leans heavily on the pinned message feature in the live chat window.
Oh, because if you've ever looked at a live chat with more than 50 people in it, it is just a high-speed waterfall of text.
It moves so fast you can't read it.
It's totally unreadable for a new arrival.
It's pure sensory overload.
Mm-hmm.
A new viewer cannot glean any context from a chat moving at that speed.
Right.
So she takes her primary call to action for that specific broadcast. Perhaps it's the freebie and community perk link from her description box, and she pins it to the absolute top of the chat interface.
So it just stays there?
Yes. That pinned message is immune to the scrolling text. It remains completely static.
It's a lighthouse in the storm.
And it serves a dual purpose. It provides immediate structural context, but more importantly, it offers immediate tangible value.
The freebie.
Right. Imagine a passive viewer drops into the stream at minute 40. They're confused. They hear the warm 15-minute vocal reintroduction.
Okay.
They look at the chat and see a static pinned message offering a free digital download or a community perk.
And they click it.
If they click that link, a profound psychological shift occurs. In a matter of seconds, they have transitioned from a passive, confused observer into an active, rewarded participant.
You have interrupted their endless scroll and locked them into your ecosystem.
Exactly. You've converted them.
And all of this structured interaction is neatly compartmentalized into very specific content pillars.
This is another key part of her framework.
Her notes list exactly what she is allowed to broadcast, right? It's IRL and lifestyle, which covers things like real-time shopping or cooking.
Very dynamic stuff.
Then there's live podcasts and chats for deep, unfiltered conversations. Gaming, which is specifically noted as raw and unedited. And finally, variety.
Distinct categories.
Yeah, so even though the actual words spoken within the stream are completely unscripted, the container holding those words is fiercely regulated.
That regulation is how you manage audience expectations.
Right. They need to know what they're tuning into.
Exactly. If a viewer sees a thumbnail that falls under the live podcast pillar, their brain subconsciously prepares for long-form analytical conversation.
They settle in for a long listen.
Right. But if they tune into an IRL pillar, they expect dynamic movement and casual lifestyle content.
That's taste.
By clearly defining these structural rooms in her digital house, she prevents viewer whiplash.
Because if you expect a chill chat and you get someone screaming at a video game, you leave.
Exactly. The audience may not know exactly what she is going to say on any given day, but they always understand the rules of the environment they have chosen to enter.
It sets the terms of engagement. Like, we are in the gaming room today. Expect loud noises and chaos.
Precisely. And if we pull back and look at the broader macro trend of internet culture in 2026, this specific style of structured, community-anchored live broadcasting is a direct, violent reaction to the content of the early 2020s.
The Mr. Beastification of the internet.
Exactly. We lived through an era of hyper-curation. Everything was edited down to the absolute millisecond.
Every breath was cut out.
Every transition had a visual effect. It was so fast, so flawless, and so incredibly overproduced that audiences, frankly, became numb to it.
It felt like watching an ad constantly.
It did. So the value proposition of TwinVet's relaunch isn't providing a flawless video.
Right.
The value proposition is the shared, imperfect, real-time experience. It is the friction of humanity happening live on screen.
Wow, we have dissected a massive amount of technical and strategic architecture today.
It's a heavy blueprint for sure.
Let's trace it from start to finish. To wake up a dead channel, she first engineered a lean, highly efficient hardware signal chain.
Right, starting with the capture.
A 4K camera with a 180-degree flip screen to maintain visual autonomy and eye contact. wireless lavalier microphones to isolate audio while enabling dynamic movement around the room.
Getting rid of those bulky condensers.
Yeah. Yep. And a 32-gigabyte RAM laptop to act as a powerhouse encoder, preventing the dreaded dropped frames of a CPU bottleneck.
The hardware foundation.
Second, she aggressively protected her signal chain from software bloatware. She rejected the AI's hallucinated cloud, multi-streamers, and API webhooks, right?
A very smart move.
Opting for the rock-solid local routing of OBS Studio and locally hosted soundboards to completely eliminate network latency.
The localized fortress.
Third, she swallowed her ego, stripping her name from the metadata to exploit high-intent search queries and weaponize the 150-character truncation limit to force clicks from mobile users.
Speaking to the machine.
Finally, she deployed cyclical retention frameworks, the 15-minute reintroduction loop, and static pin chats to capture confused new arrivals and convert them into an active community within clearly defined, unscripted content pillars.
It is an incredibly sophisticated synthesis of broadcast engineering, user interface psychology, and algorithmic manipulation.
And whether you are trying to revive a YouTube channel, managing a remote corporate team, or just trying to navigate digital communication in general, the overarching lesson here is clear.
Which is?
True. Authentic connection on the internet is never an accident.
No, it's an engineered outcome.
Exactly. You must build a rigorous, professional, cold infrastructure in the background so that warm, human spontaneity can actually survive in the foreground. You have to wire the stage perfectly before you can play the raw acoustic set.
That is the essential truth of modern broadcasting.
It really is.
And honestly, analyzing her reliance on a 100% live format forces us to consider a much larger, frankly unsettling question about the future of media as a whole.
Oh, where are we going with this?
Well, she is intentionally stripping away all editing, all polish, and all pre-recorded safety nets because she knows that is what the algorithm now values most.
Right. The system is actively rewarding the raw feed over the polished upload.
Which leads to this extrapolation. As artificial intelligence makes it terrifyingly easy to generate, fake, and manipulate pre-recorded video, audiences are developing a deep, cynical distrust of anything that has been edited.
Because if a video can be perfected in post-production, it can just be faked in post-production.
Exactly. So are we witnessing the death of the edit as a mechanism for digital trust?
Wow.
As audiences crave absolute authenticity, will the ability to perform flawlessly, engagingly, and perfectly in real time without a safety net become the only digital currency that retains any actual value?
Will live, verifiable presence become the only thing we actually trust?
It's something to think about.
The end of the edit. When the perfect auto-tune studio album can be generated entirely by a machine with just a single text prompt, maybe the only thing left that proves you are human is your ability to stand in the town square, plug into the amp, and play the live tour.
Absolutely.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.